How do you
don't
feel
think
about that?
anyone in this country, at least in the government service, is not accountable. We are all accountable, and I don't, you're getting into the technical nitty-gritties, which may say something which I cannot really explain because I've not done any research on this to be able to answer you. But I personally have felt that at no point in time I was not accountable in my entire military career. But I think if you look at the responsibility of principal accounting officer, I think it adds more burden on you, because there is so much of responsibility on you. You're responsible for every penny. So
But you're a serving military officer too, which effectively beats the purpose of being accountable to NAB. So the principal.
Tomorrow, if there's not a military officer here, he will also not be accountable.
No, he will be technically according to the rules, because you're still in uniform. Tonight you're not, but because you're still in uniform, you cannot be held accountable. This is a fact.
No, that's not my understanding, but I have no problem with accountability. If somebody thinks that he needs to question me, ask me anything, he's most welcome. Sorry?
What about the people of Pakistan?
By all means, every day I am answering the assemblies, the Senate, the NAB, what is the other, ombudsman. So I don't think substantially I'm not being held accountable. I am going and explaining everything every day to different members of the National Assembly, the Senate, the National Accountability Bureau, the Federal Ombudsman, the President's Secretariat, the Prime Minister's Secretariat, to the people of Pakistan, especially the earthquake affected. I'm doing explanation most of the time like I am explaining things to you.
The role of the army, a very, very important role the Pakistan Army has played, and a lot of people appreciate that role because the disaster response, the relief, it was noted worldwide. However, do you think that the army is suited for long-term development? Because that's what it's doing. And considering, we were just talking about accountability, considering the army is inherently a short-term response organization. It's emergency based. Do you think that the army has a long-term role in this area? Because effectively there's two things which the army is not used to and trained for. The army is not used to accountability, and the army is not trained for long-term development.
If you first thing that I probably would not agree with you that army is not used to accountability, because most of the people don't have a good idea of the army's internal accountability system.
I'm talking about accountability to the people of Pakistan.
Again, there is a form and there is a substance. In fact, army is very keen, and they have been, really asking me not once, not twice, maybe 100 times, when are you allowing us to go back? Because we want to go back, do our professional training. But I just cannot move in the housing sector without the active assistance of the army. And I hope if I can finish off this program by the middle of the next year.
Do you think that's because you're already in uniform and your decision is biased because you're already in the army?
No, because we are already now moved almost like 70% into the housing program. And if I now ask the army can go back to the barracks.
You don't want to disengage?
At this stage, it will just totally upset or imbalance the whole program.
So long-term disengagement?
I hope that we will do a drawdown maybe in March, and by December, the army should be, by middle of the next year, the army should be, I think, out.
Okay,
they are very keen, by the way. They are not once, I said many times, we've had conferences and they have been saying time and again, we want to pull back. Because all these troops actually are away from their families, away from their professional training, just focused on our housing assessment and training of people.
Okay, it's also been said that the civilian chairman of ERA, his appointment was a diversionary tactic. It's been said that you are the man calling the shots. It's been said that he's been put in to please the donors. It's been said that you are the one with the operational authority on the ground.
I am like the chief operations officer, but the chairman is there, and he sits with us and he works with us. He provides all the strategic.
He's been called the D word, which is dummy.
No, that's not correct. Absolutely incorrect. And I think they are very unfair. He is a man whom, let me be very honest, whom I found to be very down to earth, highly professional, with a vision, with a very positive approach. All this that I hear about him is absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, is rubbish.
He's been blamed for involvement in the Crescent Bank scandal.
Absolutely false.
It's been investigated by the SECP.
False. It's false. He was never on the board. You know, people accuse him of so many things.
His family has connections with that bank.
His family may have, I'm talking about the chairman. And I remember one of the Senate meetings, and he said, how much money are you charging from ERA? And
the SECP has investigated him. Don't you think he has a bad reputation?
no, he is on the board of so many organizations, including international organizations.
A $350 million plan for Muzaffarabad through a Chinese company is getting pulled through.
Sure.
Now, detractors say that this is technically not aid, this is a soft loan. The
Preferential
Chinese
buyer
companies,
credit, yeah.
So why is, and technically what is a soft loan being touted as aid? Because what's happening is that Pakistani competition is not even there.
No, no, please understand. When you, though there is a declaration on it internationally, I think, in which they say you don't have, you cannot, you should not tie your aid to a particular country, whether it is a soft loan.